Welcome to Changing Times, to a changing world, to a changing you. Do we want to change you? Not really. The question is, can we really change you? And I think we already have an answer for that the only person who can really change you is you. On this journey of change, we have come so far. We have discussed, explored different aspects of changes, changing ourselves, bringing about a change in our lives, influencing other people to change, and sometimes inspiring other people to be the change makers. Of all the things that we see, how change has happened, we sometimes give credit of that change to one person in our life. Sometimes this person could be our parent, this could be someone whom we live with, or this could be a guru or a teacher who has given us insights beyond our comprehension. Spirituality, religion, or different names that people have called it, there have been sources of inspiration in our lives. What these people have done to us, what have they shown to us, is something that we sometimes understand, sometimes do not understand, and yet believe in it. Our belief systems, the way how we look at life, has inspired us to do things that we otherwise thought were impossible to do. On this episode of Change, let's see what spiritual changes help us in our lives and what is beyond spirituality. Today, we have a spiritual teacher with us. She has been an inspiration to many. She has helped people to cope up with these changes. We have Rajyogini Brahma Kumaris Usha Didi with us. Didi, welcome to the show.
Om Shanti.
As much as we must thank you for coming on the show and giving insights time and again, change as a story, if you would say. The world's story has been a story of change. And on several occasions, we see that there have been spiritual personalities who have stepped in to lives of people and made them greater people. We have seen stories, several examples in history for that matter. And they have inspired, they have guided, they have mentored, and simply transformed the person for better.
Yes.
Whether they were warriors, whether they were kings, or whether they were just monks, or whether just inspiring people, great thinkers of our age.
Yeah. Actually, all those great souls who have inspired all those people to change, and it is seen that their lives turned something different. When you were saying this, it reminded me of Swami Vivekananda, who was an ordinary Narendra. But Ramakrishna Paramhans definitely came into his life and he was completely changed. There was no bend towards spirituality before that, but afterwards, as soon as he experienced from his master, and the change took place in such a way that from an ordinary life, he rose up. And today also, many people take him to be like an ideal, whom they can follow, whom they can learn from. Similarly, when I talk of the founder of this organization, he also was an ordinary businessman. But after some divine realizations that he had in his life, there was a complete change. So either somebody became a medium to bring about changes in their life, like Swami Vivekananda, or like Prajapita Brahma Baba, who was the founder. He got divine revelations.
Where he himself became a medium.
Himself became a medium. And when he brought those changes, he became an instrument to bring about changes in many others. He empowered so many people, and he created not just followers, but he created leaders who can actually go out into the world. Many sisters, our senior dadis, when we see them, especially our most Reverend Dadi Janki ji, she has traveled worldwide and she has become a source of inspiration for so many. Beautifully, somebody told about her that she is a lady of wisdom who cares, shares, and inspires. So, when she has also made so many like her, there are many such dadis who have become leaders today. So that is why I said some take the inspiration from somebody create themselves from within, and it is like God's grace which is showered upon them that they are able to get the divine experiences and they create themselves.
So when you talk about these greater personalities, everybody wants to have someone like that in their own lives too. Yeah?
Yeah.
If you would ask me, for instance, or any youngster who has heard about Swami Vivekananda, then they would want a personality like Ramakrishna Paramahans to appear in our lives and just touch us or do whatever he did and bring about a change in our life. Change it magically overnight.
No, it cannot happen like that. Just like Swami Vivekananda, Narendra also had to go through, like he questioned himself so many times whether he wanted to go towards that path or not. And finally he made up his mind to go onto that path and sincerely followed that path. Similarly, Mother Teresa, she also brought about changes in the world and she herself evolved. I would say it was God's grace maybe that she evolved herself in such a way and she started bringing about changes at the physical level. She also went into the hearts of people because she also cared so much. And that is why there were so many who started taking her to be their mentors and they were able to bring about so much of changes. Yes, definitely, one has to do something impossible possible. When she treated the leprosy people, which nobody wanted
dared of doing.
Yes. So that is how she became great. When the impossible was done. So similarly, if today also in the world people want to evolve themselves, they have to do something which is impossible, possible. They have to go to that extent. Nothing works like magic in this world.
Precisely nothing. When you talk about these great personalities, their greatness and how they inspired, I look at India as a land of spirituality, not just me, but it has been called like this for centuries, over centuries,
Yes.
that they have referred India as the land of spirituality. It is no surprise that India is also the motherland for 3 religions that we know of, Hinduism and Buddhism, which spread out to different countries in Southeast Asia, and also Jainism to an extent.
yeah.
And one of the modern religions, or in the later ages, is Sikhism, if you'd want to consider that. So, as a contributor of religions to the eastern hemisphere of the world, India has contributed to it. In spite of that, we do not call India as the land of religions. I do not think so there is any other place in the world which has given birth to these many religions.
Yes. It's not a land of religion, definitely, because originally these religions also began with a spiritual feeling, with a spiritual quest, yes. And when it was a spiritual quest, gradually, when the followers started, they labeled it as it is this religion. But actually, those who actually started those religion, whether it was Buddha or whether it was Mahavir Swami or Guru Nanak Dev, they did not feel as if we want to label this as it started with a spiritual quest, and that is why during that time they were able to spread that message throughout so many. When they saw this spiritual feeling, many joined them. That, okay, this will help us get liberated from those religious rituals and practices. So now let us rise and move ahead. Afterwards, when again, because of those sanskars maybe, we started labeling it again, that it is Sikhism religion or Jainism religion or Buddhism religion. But actually when they started it, they did not start it as a religion.
They started it as a spiritual journey.
Journey, yes. And they wanted to bring out the people from those blind faith and from those practices onto a higher level. But again, we find that today they are termed as religions only. So spirituality is that which takes us beyond.
Before you move ahead to defining spirituality, I have a notion of understanding that every religious person is he or she spiritual, or on the other hand also, is every spiritual person religious, is a question that I have.
Well, I would say all religious people, they may not be spiritual, because some blind faith rituals are attached and they are so much into that. Like supposing we see some of the Brahmins are so much into it, practices and worshippings. They feel this is spirituality. This is everything. So they cannot think beyond that. Worshipping, if you don't worship, then it is like being irreligious, or it is like committing a sin. So this is what they believe. So that is why for them religion is everything. For them the religious text is everything. For them they cannot think beyond, because they are so much binded into it. But those who are spiritual, that means they have lifted their consciousness onto a higher level.
So they do not see a boundary of saying that, okay, this is what I do and this is not what I do. This is where my boundaries are set. This is how my belief is. So they do not bound themselves. They do not restrict themselves to these things.
To the physical aspects. But at a spiritual level, they practice the terminology at a very subtle level, which is at the understanding level. They start practicing it. Like just as if I take one aspect, fasting, which is a religious principle, discipline, that they fast. Every religion has this, that on some occasions there is fasting, which is very strict for them. And it is considered to be very sacred and very holy. And people feel, yes, if you fast, then you are religious. But a spiritual person understands the meaning of fasting. What is fasting and how did it begin? It reminds me of a beautiful story, that once there was a monk who was just wandering, and he came up to a person who was a businessman. He sat there because it was very hot. So in the shade he sat there. And then the businessman was going for lunch. So seeing the monk, he felt he's also tired and he's not had anything. Maybe let me offer him some food. So he asked the monk, would you join for lunch? So he says, okay. So they both go the house was just behind, so they go there, and both of them had lunch. After having lunch, the monk asked the businessman, who was the householder, he had his family and everything, so he asked him, how much time do you remember God throughout the day? So the businessman said, I'm so busy in my shop, I have no time to remember God. So this monk told him, look, how much time does it take you to take food? So he says, half an hour. How many meals do you take? 3 meals in a day. So half an hour each meal? Yes. So he says, if it is possible for you, then skip 1 meal. You have half an hour. If once in a week also, you skip 1 meal, and during that time, you remember God, at least you'll make your life a better life. And that will help you. So he said, that is possible. I can skip 1 meal. So the monk said, if you can skip 2 meals, you get 1 hour. And if you can fast the whole day, then you have 1.5 hours. If in 1 week also you can spend some time remembering God half an hour each time, that is enough in Kali Yuga. So he said, I can do that. So that is how fasting began. The basic concept of fasting was to remember God. But that is forgotten. Today we are fasting, so we need fruits, we need this, so we're still eating.
We're fasting with food. But a different kind of food though.
Yeah. So the whole thing is, we have still no time to remember God, and we are still eating. So the whole idea came of fasting in connection to remember God. So spiritual people are fasting through the mind. What we give this understanding, that which is the fasting we have to do. Not just skipping meals and remembering God, but we say fasting of waste thoughts, because that is the food for the mind. So why should I give waste thoughts to my mind? So spirituality lifts us to that level.
True.
That you fast waste thoughts once in a week also. If I can practice this, okay, today I should not generate any waste thoughts or negative thoughts. Keep my mind protected. Now, this is fasting at a spiritual level. You can have 2 meals or 3 meals, whatever you're taking, but fasting for the mind.
True.
Now, this takes us beyond, and this is where the real beauty of fasting is experienced. That if I can keep my mind free from negative thoughts 1 whole day by paying attention on it, just imagine how much happiness, because consciously I'm directing my thoughts so that I do not go into that negative direction. I direct in positive thoughts. Read good things so that I think that, I ponder on that. And when there are good thoughts generated, then we find there is real happiness. Today, because of negative thoughts, no happiness. People are fasting, but the whole day the negative thoughts is going on, which is ruining their lives. And that is why younger generation people ask their parents, but you're fasting and still you think negative. It is better you eat your food.
Are religions really bad? Is being religious really bad? Is a question. The reason why I ask you this question is because today you see a lot of other things happening. one of the terms that has come into picture is religious extremism. People try to enforce their religious views upon you, saying that this is our religion, this is how it has to be. So we are doing moral policing in the name of religion, saying that our religion teaches this and this is how you have to be. How do we deal with this change, this religious extremism?
I feel that it is better that now is the high time that we awaken ourselves and we become aware of what we have to do. It's a journey of individual himself. He has to ask this question to himself so that he is not labeled with all those extremisms and he is able to live comfortably in the way he wants to. So that is why he has to ask a question to himself. He has to be aware and he has to direct his life on the basis of that. It's the individual's journey. No religion is bad. No religion teaches us anything bad. Every religion, basic concepts are one. That's what I believe. No religion teaches us anything bad. To speak lies or to give sorrow to anyone or to... Everybody talks about helping one another. There are so many stories of each and every religion that tells us how we have to be kind, compassionate, we have to help people, we have to behave very well. Every religion tells us. So the basic concepts of every religion is unique and it is positive, good. But due to some reasons that when people started holding on to it and they hold it so tightly that they feel, okay, we are superior amongst others, that is where the extremism starts. So instead of going into all that, now is the time when we become aware that, okay, now let me understand religion also in its true sense. If I really appreciate my religion, I respect others' religion also. That is a human being. If I'm religious, then I respect others also. Every religion has good things in them. Every religion is good. So I cannot say, okay, mine is the best and others are not the best. Every religion, original principles are one only.
So we need to understand the basic principle of all religions was to connect one another, and now we stand divided, and that underlying principles are the principles of spirituality which bind all religions
together.
And if I cultivate that understanding, if I go to that depth of understanding, if I do not just look at the superficial thing, then it would be easier for me to...
And we can create a better world for people to live in. Precisely. Instead of just like pulling and this is mine and this is yours, there's no need to fight. Every religion is good. So this is an understanding. This is spiritual.
How beautiful it is to say that this is what is spirituality. And I think the more I listen to this, it simplifies the way that how we have to live our lives.
Yes.
To bring about those changes is not very hard. It's simple changes that we have to make.
Yeah.
And I think we have moved one step further to making that change today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Friends, what religions have taught? For centuries, the basic lessons have been of love and compassion, of kindness. As much as we tend to forget these things, as much as we want to see the differences, the more differences we can see. But the more we want to turn inwards and want to find similarities, want to find common ground, want to see the basic underlying principles, I think the lesson is just one. It is time for us to move beyond, to look within, to look deeper, and to identify that one thing. And if we can do that, it would be a big change for us to do. That's all in this episode of Change. We'll see you again. Take care.
हमारे YouTube चैनल गॉडलीवुड स्टूडियो को सब्सक्राइब करें और साथ ही हर नए वीडियो के अपडेट के लिए बेल आइकन को क्लिक करें।